Do you remember the skeletons of the old world? They sort of look like the goofy 1960s stop motion skeletons. But for as fun as they weren't all that intimidating. So what if when you deploy your army on the battlefield you don't want a pile of funny bones, but instead you crave something much more dark, sinister and malicious, hell-bent on eradicating all life on the earth? Well, I've spent the last couple of weeks perfecting my step-by-step guide to make your skeleton army truly stand out, and take them from a pile of old funny bones to truly horrifying Terminator destroyers. And I'll do it by simply changing the time from day to night. This is Cursed Crusader Arts. After priming the miniature with Chaos Black, we're going to cover the whole thing in a layer of Incubi Darkness. This is going to help set the overall colour hue for the project, and we're also going to use Incubi Darkness as a unifying element by mixing it into most of our colours as we progress. So get used to hearing me saying Incubi Darkness, because it's in almost every single colour combination. To start creating the illusion of moonlight, we're going to mix the Incubi Darkness with Nurgling Green, but be very careful. Both of the colours are very powerful. My recommendation here is to start off with a small amount of pure Incubi Darkness and then slowly add more and more Nurgling Green until you get the colour that you're looking for your models. Once you've done this, take that same colour combination and add in Krieg Khaki. Apply this where the light is most intense, and this will help you to create the sort of yellow bone colour that you would typically see during the daytime. Now don't panic, what we're going to do now is wash all of the bone with Drakenhof Nightshade. And what that's going to do is just give the Krieg Khaki a blue filter so that it acts just as a highlight for the blue and green layers that we've been adding, as opposed to really bright yellow. And that's going to make your bones look really, really good. This is the basic look for your bones, and this is more than enough for rank and file members of your armies. If you're doing a character, you might want to spend a bit more time on them, but for these skeletons, it's really not necessary. For the weapons and shields, I'm going to paint them using true metallic paints, but I don't want the glossy and reflective appearance, which might sound contradictory after saying that I'm using true metals which shine. Sounds weird, but hear me out, trust me. What we're going to do is we're going to start off by mixing Incubi Darkness with Lead Belcher. Incubi Darkness is going to add a very slight blue tint to the metallics, and this is going to be showing the reflective of the nighttime environment that it's in. Following this, we're going to do the same thing with Ironbreaker, so mix Ironbreaker and Incubi Darkness. But when you apply this, focus this up towards the highest points where your light source is going to be hitting the model. Then what we're going to do is we're going to apply two washes. Drakenhof Nightshade is going to go in the upper left areas of the metallics where the moonlight will be hitting, so it's going to look more blue. And then in the lower sections where it's much darker and the shadows are building, we're going to wash it with Nuln Oil. Now, make sure you let this dry completely. Let it cure, so leave it for a good 15-20 minutes. It's very important that these washes are secure and completely dry, because what we're going to do now is we're going to completely kill the shine. Take all of your metallics and cover it with a layer of Lamian Medium. This effect is quite stunning, and I did this as an experiment, and I've not seen anybody talk about it before. The medium removes the glossy nature of these metallic paints. I often use it when I've applied too much wash to an area before shaking the pot properly. As the medium dries, when you look at it, you will see these small bits of metallic filament that's used in these true metallic paints. They will still shine. It's very, very cool, and I love it. So it's something that I'm going to do a lot more. And if you want a better demonstration of this, let me know in the comments below, because this is a fantastic little method that I found to make true metallic paints far more interesting. So far, everything we've painted is blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by painting the fabrics with a layer of Eshin Grey, and then layer it up again with Thunderhawk Blue, just leaving the deepest parts with the Eshin Grey. Let that completely dry, and then layer on Thunderhawk Blue mixed with Skarsnik Green, and that's going to lean us away from the blue and towards the green palette that we're after. Then the final highlights, we're going to use the same mixture, but we're going to brighten it and desaturate it at the same time by combining it with Corax White. Once this is dry, wash the fabrics with Bale Tan Green, and this will change the hues to fit the original concept. And then, just like we did before, you can use Nuln Oil in the lower and darker sections to increase the contrast. So for all intent and purposes, our skeletons are now technically complete. But before you go, there's a few extra details I want to add, and this is more stylistic, okay? You don't have to do this to your models, but for me, I just want to add a little bit extra to make our skeletons more intimidating. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take Blood for the Blood God. We're going to splatter it on the weapons and the shields, and in my case, I'm also going to have it unnaturally run from the eye sockets. What is causing the eye sockets to bleed when there's nothing in there? Who knows, but that's what we're going to do. I also apply some Dirty Down Rust to the metals. Adding a little water to the brush will help you create really nice streaks and variation. So when it's really thick and tacky, it's more brown, but as you thin it down, it changes into oranges and even yellows. Once this is all dried, give it the same treatment as you did with the metallic paints before and cover it in Lamia Medium. Finally, I'm going to add some powders to darken down the model and make it much more gritty. I use ground up charcoal. I use it quite a lot to darken down a lot of the models, so I cover pretty much the entire lower part of the model and then anywhere on the upper sections that are in shadow. And this is just another way to make more and more intense shadows. Once it's done, cover it with some isopropyl alcohol and then you can varnish it. That varnish will then completely secure the dust to the model so that it doesn't come off when you're touching it. Now that your nighttime skeleton horde is all finished and ready to wreak havoc on the battlefield, destroying all life on Earth, I only have two things left for you to do. Number one, don't let your feet hang over the edge of the bed. And number two, go watch this video if you want to see bones that are painted during the daytime. But whatever you do, make things, have fun, and I'll see you next time on Cursed Crusader Arts.